Greetings, it is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness. This, of course, is the second edition. Now let's dive right into it. I was talking about some rules for the characters. Let's talk about blood and the blood pool. Now your blood pool is a measurement of how much blood is in your body. There are some specific rules around said blood pool. Like, you can never roll more dice on a self-control check to avoid frenzying than the blood you have in your blood pool. Which means if you're very low on blood, it's very much easier for you to frenzy. You have to know things like, you use up a blood per day to wake up. Basically, you spend a blood, you wake up in the morning, in the beginning of a day. Of course, your blood pool is going to be a base of 10. So that means the base blood pool is maximum always 10. You can never have no more blood than your blood pool. You can have always anywhere in between that, from 0 to 10. 0, you're in bad shape. Now, there are some other things you can spend blood on other than waking up in the morning. You can use it to heal. You can spend 1 blood point to heal 1 damage when you're at rest, meaning you're not really doing anything. You could just spend it, heal up. You can also spend 1 pool to increase your physical attribute for 1 scene. Now, this can be cumulative, actually, meaning like if I spend a blood on my first turn to raise my strength, on my next turn I could spend a blood to raise my strength again to a maximum of 5 in any of these physicals. But meaning I could basically, if I have a lot of blood, I can spend to pump up my physical abilities. Of course, a number of disciplines have uses of blood. They will mention under specific disciplines if that's going to use blood. And you can give blood to another. You means you can share blood with someone. The only thing is, if you have the third time of drinking blood from another person, you have the chance of blood bonding. And they talk about the rules of blood bonding in the book, and it's basically like you're a servitude of that person. Not for the best, so usually you try to avoid that. There are ways of avoiding that, other than just, not drinking from that character 3 times in a row. There's sort of time associated with that too. The book gets into that a little more in details than I'm going to do right now. So the book lists a whole bunch of creatures and how much blood is in their body, how much of a blood pool they technically have you can drain away. It lists them and lets you know what's in each of them. This is reflected not only in the amount of blood, but also how nutritious their blood is. Like, it tells you how much a rat or a cow has. A cow might have more blood than a human, but it's less nutritious to you than a human's blood, so you get less from it. Now, humans, when they're drained of blood, if you drain 10 points of blood, their entire blood pool, they die instantly. If you drain half their blood pool, they're probably going to be hospitalized for what you've done to them. Now, in any of these cases, you might lose humanity for going this far. Now, you can, of course, drink 3 points of blood a turn. You can drink less than that, but that's the maximum you can drink if you're going very quickly. Now, humans, you could lose up to 3/4 blood and probably not be in the worst shape. They would need immediate medical attention. But 3/4 of their blood pool, they probably won't die. So that's like 7 or 8 blood points from them. You have a chance of them not dying if you really need that much from them. Again, they might still, if they don't get immediate medical attention with that much blood loss. The half a blood pool is pretty bad, and they're probably going to have to go to a hospital after that, but they're not like, I'm going to fall over dead or unconscious, which they would be at that point in time, close to the death. Now, if you're fighting humans and decide to drink one of them, they lose blood from their blood pool for each damage they take. So the more damage they take, the less blood they have in their body. That's another thing you have to think about. Now, when you start feeding on a human, unless they have a willpower of 9 or higher, they're not going to resist anymore. At a 9 or higher, they can attempt to resist you, but basically when you start biting in them and feeding on them, they go into like this state where they can't resist anymore. Now, there are bloods that are more potent. Elder blood, or even werewolf blood, you get 2 blood points per point of blood you drain from them, or would drink for them. They're just more potent because, like elder vampire I'm talking about, because they have like power behind them. Like an elder vampire will have power behind them. A werewolf has some kind of power behind it. So drinking their blood, it's better for you. It's just getting a hold of it is probably not easy. Now, you have a chart on your character sheet that tells you your 7 levels of health. These 7 levels describe the kind of damage you can take before you become incapacitated. The more damage you take, the more penalties you get to your dice pool, because your body's been beat up and it's harder for you to act. If a human reaches incapacitated, if they take 1 more damage, they die. Meaning if they hit 8 damage, they die. On the other hand, a vampire doesn't die when they hit incapacitated. You can spend blood to heal once you're incapacitated. You're technically at rest, so you can start spending blood to heal up once you've hit that sort of negatives. If you take an aggravated damage when you've hit that, which I will talk about aggravated damage in a little later, but think of that as sun or fire. You die once you're incapacitated. So let's talk about some of the systems of the game. First one I want to talk about is experience point system. You gain experience points. They are used to develop your character. It's not the same kind of experience points you talk about in other role-playing game systems. It's a number of points you can spend to buy stuff effectively. There's a chart in the book that tells you how much anything costs to buy in experience points. You would spend experience points when you're at a point where you can sort of rest and recover to buy things. This could be anything from purchasing a new ability, purchasing a new discipline, or raising an old one. Anything that you're raising the old version of, it's based on your old rating, how much experience it costs. The chart will tell you. As you can see from the chart, you can't purchase backgrounds. Now, if you raise a virtue, like self-control, it doesn't affect your willpower humanity after you've started your character. So that means I could raise my self-control, but it would no longer affect anything else. You know, like it used to before when I was making my character. It would affect it. It would raise it. Now it doesn't. Not when I'm buying it with experience. As I said, backgrounds are on this tree. Backgrounds you need to do something in-game to get more of. It's similar to your storyteller actually might make you need to do something in-game to learn some of these new things. Oftentimes for things like disciplines, your storyteller will make you have to go to someone to learn them. They might make you have to go to someone to learn a certain skill, like, I want to learn firearms now. I would have to go to someone. On the other hand, if it's something that you already had, it might make sense you just practice it. Like if I already had a rank in firearms, I could just be practicing it on my off time and spend that experience. I wouldn't need to do something special to spend it there and raise it effectively. But again, your storyteller might tell you you need to do something in order to raise or gain whatever trait you want to do. Experience is rewarded at the end of each chapter/session. Now you gain 1 point of experience automatically. So your game master will give you 1 point of experience. After that, there's a list of things. Like if your character learns something, you're going to make it's an option to give your characters an experience. If your character acted well, meaning that they did really good role playing, they kept the game going, they didn't do anything that sort of interfered with the group when they were acting in their character, experience. If you role played to your nature and demeanor, experience. Or if you did something very heroic in the course of the session, 1 experience. So there's a possibility of getting a whole bunch of experience every session you play. Now you also can get some experience at the end of a story, for like completing a story. So it's after a couple of sessions when you complete a story. If you completed a story successfully, you can get experience. You can get an experience. So if you succeeded in your goal, basically, experience. If you faced danger during that, you can get experience. And if you acted with wisdom, that means you acted very wisely. You did something very smart. Your storyteller can keep track of that and it awards you another experience. So there's 1 to 3 more experience you can get at the end of a story. Now, there are other points in time where you could get experience. Your storyteller could add more things into these lists, so say, or your storyteller could say, like, if they don't want you to gain as much experience, they could reduce some of these, removing. Or on the other hand, could give you more, depending on how fast your storyteller wants you to develop in the course of the game. So there is more systems that I do want to talk about, but we're going to talk about them next time. That's it for today. I've gone over the rest of the things about your character, talking about your blood pool and your health. Then I moved into talking about experience points and spending them. So if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like this video. It shows your support for the channel and the Empire. It shows you enjoy my work. Please subscribe if you already haven't. We're always looking for more members and more citizens. And please share this video. If you know anyone that would learn from it or would just enjoy watching it, share that with them. And until next time, I bid you farewell.